The floor is cold. That is the first thing I notice. Not the pain tearing through my chest. Not the sound ripping out of my own throat, wet, mechanical, nothing like a cough. Just the tile. Hard. Indifferent. Pressing against my cheek like it has been waiting here for me this whole time. My fingers find the grout between the tiles. I push. Nothing moves. 40 seconds ago I was standing at that sink, pulling a long drag off my vape. The same flat rectangular device with the red band I have used every single day for 11 months. The cloud came out thick. Sweet. Mango. I watched it bloom in the mirror, and for exactly 3 seconds, everything was fine. Then my chest caved in. Not the way people describe heartbreak or fear. My chest physically contracted, like two hands reached inside my ribcage and wrung it like a wet towel. The cough that followed was not a cough. My body was trying to remove something that had no intention of leaving. Hi viewers, have you ever brushed off a cough, chest tightness, and just told yourself it was nothing? Drop your honest answer in the comments right now, because what you are about to find out will hit different. My knees hit the tile before my brain registered falling. I remember the sound my shoulder made. I remember thinking, this is embarrassing. Then I stopped thinking anything useful.
That is when Zaria Coleman walks in. She comes through the bathroom door with her backpack still on her shoulder, heading for the sink. 30 seconds between fourth period and the water fountain. She is 2 feet from the faucet when the sound coming from behind the last stall stops her body before her brain catches up. Her hand hovers over the faucet handle, fingers open, going nowhere. The sound is not like coughing. It is not like anything in the normal catalog of human sounds. It is rhythmic in the wrong way, wet, grinding, irregular, and her feet start moving toward it before she decides to move. Hello? Her voice cracks on the second syllable. Nothing answers, just the sound. Her hand hits the stall door hard. It swings open. Darius Washington is on the floor, face gray, lips pulling toward blue at the edges, slow and certain, the way water soaks into paper. One arm stretched toward the drain, like he was reaching for something just beyond his fingertips. His vape device sits upright against the base of the toilet, still active, a thin ribbon of vapor rising from the tip in a perfect, unbothered line, like nothing happened. Like it is completely indifferent to the boy lying 3 inches away from it. Zaria's backpack hits the tile. She stands there for 2 full seconds. 2 seconds that will replay in her mind for the rest of her high school life. She has watched Darius disappear into this bathroom every single day after third period for 2 straight months. She said something once. He grinned and kept walking. And now she is standing over him, watching the color leave his face in real time, watching his chest move in short, shallow jerks that travel maybe a third of the distance a normal breath travels. And the math she is doing in her head is not coming out to anything she wants to accept. Darius's eyes find hers. He opens his mouth, tries to form something. What comes out has no shape, no word, no intention. Just air being forced through passages that are closing. Zaria's thumb hits 9. Then 1. Then 1. What she does not know yet, what no one in that building understands, is that Darius's lungs have been quietly collapsing from the inside for months. Not from that last drag. Not from this one session. From hundreds of them, each one leaving behind a microscopic chemical residue on the tiny air sacs buried deep in his lungs. Air sacs that were designed for one thing and one thing only. And vape juice was never on that list. By the time the dispatcher picks up, Darius has been on that floor for 4 minutes. And his oxygen level has already crossed into a range that emergency medicine gives its own specific name. A name that comes with a survival window attached to it.
3 weeks earlier, Darius is late for practice. He grabs his gym bag off his bedroom floor. It lands with a thud that shakes his desk, knocks his AP chemistry textbook sideways, and he is out the front door before his mother can finish the sentence that starts with, "Did you eat?" The door closes. This is Darius at baseline. 17 years old, 5'11", running back with a legitimate shot at a Division II scholarship if the Westfield varsity coach likes what he sees at Friday's tryout. He keeps his grades above a 3.0 because his mother, Renee Washington, made that the condition before sports and everything else. He's got a group chat with 6 guys that goes off every night after 10. He thinks he's funny. His friends confirm it enough that it sticks. He started vaping the summer before junior year. Not because he was struggling, not because something was wrong. Marcus, his boy, his locker neighbor, the guy who'd sat next to him in homeroom since 8th grade, had pulled one out at the park one Saturday afternoon and held it out like it was a stick of gum. "It's just flavored air, man. Watch." Marcus exhaled a cloud the size of a small dog. They both laughed. Darius hit it once that day, then twice the next weekend. Then somewhere between then and November, it stopped being a twice-a-week thing. He doesn't think about that now. He doesn't track it. There is no moment he can point to where he decided this was a habit. It just became part of the architecture of his day. The same way brushing his teeth is, or checking his phone, or lacing up his left sneaker before his right one. What he does think about is Friday. Football tryouts. The varsity coach, Coach Pittman, running backs specifically. Darius has been visualizing that practice field for 6 weeks. He can see the route. He knows exactly which cut he's going to make on the 40-yard drill that will make Pittman stop writing on his clipboard and look up. His cleats are already in his locker. He packed them Monday. Across the school, Zaria Coleman is in 4th period biology, watching the clock. She has seen Darius's green vest disappear into that bathroom every single day after 3rd period for the last 2 months. She's mentioned it once, in the hall, casual, not trying to start anything. "You know those things wreck your lungs, right?" He'd grinned. "You sound like a commercial." She'd let it go. But she thinks about it again now, tapping her pen against her notebook, because this morning his cough in the hall was different. Wetter. Longer. He'd covered his mouth with his sleeve and kept walking. She'd watched him go, and something in the back of her mind had filed it under a category she didn't have a name for yet. She doesn't know why it stays with her. By Thursday afternoon, she will. The cough starts 4 Mondays before the collapse, and Darius explains it away before it finishes. He is walking out of 1st period when it hits. Sudden, rough, rattling through his chest like something shaking loose in a dryer. The kid next to him, Terrell, cuts him a sideways look. "You good?" "Dry air," Darius says. He believes it. The school building is old. The heater runs too hot, and the air inside has that flat, recycled quality that makes everyone's throat scratchy by February. This is the explanation, and it is enough. He clears his throat twice, takes a sip from his water bottle, and files it under nothing. But the cough comes back Tuesday. And Wednesday. By Thursday it's there every morning, arriving with him like a second backpack he didn't choose to carry. He starts clearing his throat before he speaks to people, a small automatic preparation. And he doesn't notice he's doing it until Zaria looks at him sideways in the hallway and says nothing, which somehow feels louder than if she had. Then the dizziness starts showing up after practice. Not falling down dizziness. The kind that makes the bleachers tilt slightly to the left when he stands up too fast. He tells himself it's dehydration. He drinks more water. The bleachers keep tilting. The chest tightness arrives last. It comes at night, specifically after he gets into bed. A low pressing weight behind his sternum. Not painful, exactly. More like someone has placed a hand flat against his chest and is leaning on it with mild, consistent, unconcerned pressure. He lies still and waits for it to pass, and it does, and in the morning it is gone. And this is the mechanism by which he does not call it a problem. He takes 2 ibuprofen on Wednesday night, puts his AirPods in, turns on whatever playlist is already queued up, falls asleep. The body, meanwhile, is not asleep. Inside Darius's airways, the process that will put him on that bathroom floor in 72 hours is already well underway. The epithelial cells lining his bronchioles, the small tubes that branch through his lungs like the smallest twigs of a tree, are inflamed, thickened, and beginning to swell inward. Each inhale is moving through a slightly narrower passage than the one before. The change is too gradual to feel as a change. It simply becomes the new normal. His body recalibrates. His brain accepts the slightly shorter breath as regular breath. This is the part nobody tells you. The damage does not arrive loudly. Zaria notices the cough getting worse before Darius does. Thursday morning, 2 periods before the collapse, she passes him in the main hallway and watches him cough into his sleeve for a full 7 seconds. He doesn't stop walking. He just coughs and walks, eyes forward, like the body doing that in the hallway is a minor administrative function, like yawning or blinking. She almost says something. She pulls out her phone instead. Types half a message to her friend Camille. I feel like something is wrong with. Then the bell rings, and she locks the screen without sending it. That was Tuesday. By Thursday afternoon, everything changed. What is sitting in Darius's lungs right now is not just inflammation. The doctors will give it a name in a few hours. 2:17 p.m. Thursday. The second floor boys' bathroom, east wing, last stall. Darius pushes the door open with his shoulder, backpack still on, and moves to the back stall the way someone moves to a coffee machine in the morning. Automatic? Eyes already somewhere else. Body running a script that doesn't require thought. He drops the backpack on the hook. Pulls out the device. The red-banded rectangular vape that has made this same trip with him every day since October. He hits it hard. The cloud fills the stall immediately. White, thick, mango sweet curling against the painted cinder block like fog in a low corner. He exhales slow, watching it. Pulls a second drag before the first one fully leaves his lungs. The tightness arrives in 3 seconds. This tightness is different. He recognizes it the way you recognize a person's voice going wrong in the middle of a sentence, not from the word they said, but from something in the sound underneath it. His chest doesn't just feel heavy, it feels sealed, like a door that swung shut and locked from the inside with no handle on his side. He coughs once, then his body takes the cough away from him. What replaces it is a sound he has never made before. A wet, mechanical wheeze that comes from somewhere deeper than his throat, deeper than his chest, somewhere further in than he has ever had to think about. His hand grabs the stall divider. The metal is cold. His fingers don't have the strength he expects them to have. The world tilts left, his back hits the wall. Then his knees go. The floor rushes up at him sideways and he doesn't get his hands up in time. His shoulder takes the tile first, then his cheek, and the cold hits him so immediately and completely that for one strange second, it is the only sensation in the world. Cold tile. His own breathing, which is no longer breathing in any way he recognizes. Short. Shallow. Each inhale traveling maybe a third of the distance it normally covers before it stops. His fingers find the grout. He is trying to push himself up. His arms aren't receiving the message. Outside the stall, the bathroom door swings open. Footsteps. Zuria Coleman, backpack on, heading for the sink. 4th period just ended. 30 seconds between here and the water fountain. The sound reaches her before she gets to the faucet. She stops. The sound coming from behind that last stall is not like anything in the normal catalog of bathroom sounds. It is rhythmic in the wrong way. A wet, irregular, grinding struggle that her body understands before her brain does, because her feet are already moving toward it before she decides to move. Hello? Her voice cracks on the second syllable. No answer. Just that sound. Her hand hits the stall door. It swings open. Darius is on the floor. Face the color of old concrete. Lips pulling toward blue at the edges. Slow and certain, the way water soaks into paper. His arm is stretched toward the drain. The vape device sits upright against the toilet. Still active. A thin thread of vapor rising from the tip in a perfect, unhurried line. Like nothing happened. Like it is completely unbothered by what it just did to the person now lying 3 inches from it. Zaria's backpack hits the tile. Her thumb finds her phone. For exactly 2 seconds, she cannot move. She is standing in a school bathroom at 2:17 p.m. on a Thursday afternoon, looking at a boy she has watched do the same thing every single day, watching him lie on the floor with the color leaving his face in real time, and she's doing the math on what she's looking at, and the math is not coming out right. Darius's eyes find hers. He opens his mouth. What comes out has no shape, no word, no intention. It is just air being pushed through passages that are no longer built for it. Zuria's thumb hits 9, then 1, then 1. What she doesn't know, what no one in that building knows yet, is that the number she is about to give the dispatcher when they ask for his oxygen level 2 minutes from now is a number that has its own name in emergency medicine. a name with a specific survival window attached to it. Inside Darius's chest, a war has been running for months without a single public announcement. It starts with the lungs. And to understand what is happening to them right now, on that bathroom floor, you have to understand what lungs actually are. Picture 300 million tiny air sacs. Alveoli, the doctors call them. Though the name matters less than the image. Each one smaller than a grain of salt. Each one wrapped in a net of blood vessels so fine they're nearly invisible. Their one job, their entire reason for existing, is to pass oxygen from the air into the blood. That is it. That is the whole operation. For 11 months, Darius has been filling them with something else. Propylene glycol, diacetyl, vitamin E acetate. The ingredients in vape juice are not secrets. They are printed on the packaging in small letters that nobody reads, listed alongside flavor names like Arctic Mango and Polar Frost, as if the words cold enough can make industrial solvents sound refreshing. When these chemicals enter the lungs as vapor, the body does not recognize them as food or fuel or anything it has a protocol for. It recognizes them as threat, and the body does what bodies do. It sends the immune response. Stage 1 begins quietly. White blood cells flood the bronchioles, the small airways branching through each lung like the thinnest roots of a tree. They are trying to neutralize the chemical invader the same way they would neutralize a bacteria or a virus. But the invader isn't alive. It doesn't have a membrane to breach or a cell wall to crack. The white blood cells attack it anyway, releasing inflammatory chemicals that swell the tissues surrounding the airways. The tubes get narrower. Not by much. Not enough to feel, not at first. Darius coughs in the morning and calls it dry air. The inflammation doesn't care what he calls it. By week 6, the alveoli themselves are involved. The chemical residue has begun settling on the delicate tissue lining each air sac, a fine, oily coat that reduces the surface's ability to absorb oxygen. The transfer efficiency drops. Less oxygen reaches the blood per breath. The body adjusts, as bodies do, by breathing slightly faster, slightly shallower, recalibrating the baseline so the deficit feels like normal. Darius does not notice his resting breath has changed. He just notices the bleachers tilt when he stands up too fast. He drinks more water. The alveoli keep coating. Now it is 2:19 p.m. on a Thursday, and Darius is on the floor of a school bathroom, and the cascade that has been building for 47 days is no longer quiet. Stage 2 hits like a circuit breaker. His oxygen saturation, SpO2, the percentage of hemoglobin in his blood that's carrying oxygen, has dropped to 82%. Normal is 95 to 100. At 82%, the brain begins issuing distress signals. His heart receives them. And here is where the body does something that feels like rescue, but functions like sabotage. The heart speeds up. His resting heart rate, normally 68 beats per minute, is now running at 131. The cardiac muscle is pumping faster, pushing blood through the lungs at a higher volume, trying to compensate for the low oxygen transfer by simply moving more blood through the broken system. More trips, same broken road, hoping the math works out differently at higher speed. For 90 seconds, it almost works. Darius's lips, still pressed against the tile, shift from deep blue back towards something closer to gray. His fingers press harder against the grout. His chest heaves. This is the false recovery. Zaria, on her knees now beside him, with the dispatcher talking in her ear, watches his color shift and feels something in her chest loosen, just slightly, the way tension releases when a door opens from the other side. It is the worst moment for her to feel hope, because inside Darius's chest, the speed of his heart is now generating a pressure problem. The pulmonary vasculature, the network of blood vessels running through the lungs, is already inflamed, already narrowed. The increased cardiac output is now forcing blood through those narrowed vessels at a higher pressure. The vessels in response constrict further. This is called hypoxic vasoconstriction, the lungs' automatic reflex to route blood away from areas with low oxygen. In a healthy lung with one small damaged section, this is useful. It redirects blood to the parts of the lung that are working. In Darius's lungs, almost every section has low oxygen. The reflex fires everywhere at once. The blood vessels clamp down across both lungs simultaneously. Pulmonary pressure spikes. The right side of his heart, which pumps blood into the lungs, is now pushing against a resistance wall it was never designed to handle. The cardiac muscle strains. His heart rate, already at 131, climbs toward 148. His body's own rescue mechanism is the thing accelerating his collapse. His color drops again, worse than before. Zuria's voice tight and high. He's going back. He's getting worse again. He was getting better and now he's... The dispatcher steady. Ma'am, stay with him. Don't move him. How far out is the school from... Darius's hand releases the grout. His fingers go flat against the tile. Outside, in the main lot, an ambulance turns off Route 9 and accelerates. The paramedics do not know yet what they are walking into. But the dispatcher has already flagged the call with 2 words that make the driver push the vehicle 4 miles per hour harder than protocol recommends. Oxygen. 17. What those 2 words mean, and what the paramedics are about to find when they reach that bathroom, is something that will make even the most experienced one among them go very still for a half second before moving. The number on the pulse oximeter screen is 71. The paramedic, a broad-shouldered man named Deshaun Mercer, has been running calls for 11 years. He has seen numbers that made him move faster. But 71 makes him go completely still for exactly half a second. Not from fear, from calculation, before his hands are already moving to the equipment bag with a focus that has no wasted motion in it. Normal oxygen saturation is 95 to 100. At 90, your body is compensating hard. At 85, your organs are beginning to negotiate with the deficit. At 71, the brain has been running on a shortage long enough that the window for clean recovery starts closing in real time. Deshaun does not say the number out loud. He does not need to. His partner, Aaliyah Simmons, reads it off the screen, reads his face, and already has the non-rebreather mask in her hand before he asks for it. Zaria is standing against the far wall of the bathroom, both hands pressed flat against the cinder block behind her, watching them work. Her backpack is still on the floor where she dropped it. She has not moved it. She cannot explain why. It feels like if she moves it, something will shift in the wrong direction. Is he going to be okay? Her voice is barely above a whisper. Nobody answers her. Not because they are being cruel. Because nobody in that room has an honest answer yet. Darius's chest moves in shallow, rapid jerks under the oxygen mask. His heart rate on the portable monitor reads 148. His blood pressure is 88/54. Deshaun calls it into the hospital on the radio with a measured, clipped efficiency that sounds calm, but contains within it a specific urgency that any ER nurse listening to that transmission would recognize immediately. 17-year-old male, suspected EVALI, SpO2 71 on room air, tachy at 148, hypotensive, GCS 12, requesting respiratory on standby. EVALI, e-cigarette or vaping product use associated lung injury. That is the name. That is what has been building in Darius's chest for 47 days without a single announcement. Not an infection. Not a virus. Not something he caught from another person. Something he administered to himself, one drag at a time, in 30-second increments. In a school bathroom, while his lungs kept a ledger he never asked to see. Aaliyah leans close to Darius's ear. Darius, stay with me. Open your eyes. His eyelids move. Slowly. The way someone moves when the effort of opening their eyes requires a decision they are not sure they have the energy to make. He gets them halfway. His mouth is moving under the mask. Small movements. Zaria watches his lips from across the room, and her throat tightens because she knows, without hearing a single word, exactly what he's trying to say. Friday. Football tryouts. His cleats are still in his locker. 40 feet down the hall from this bathroom. He packed them Monday. Deshaun looks at Aaliyah. She already knows what he is about to say. They have a 10-minute transport window. The hospital ER has been notified. The respiratory team is being pulled from 2 different floors. But Darius's oxygen, even on the high-flow mask, is climbing slower than it should. It has moved from 71 to 76 in 4 minutes of pure oxygen delivery. For a healthy lung, 4 minutes of pure oxygen should push that number to 94, maybe 95. Darius's number is 76, which means the mask alone is not going to be enough. Deshaun zips the bag. His voice, directed at Aaliyah, carries one word that changes the weight of everything in that room. Move. The ER doors open and Darius Washington comes through them on a gurney at 2:34 p.m. Oxygen mask strapped across his face, I-4 line already running in his left arm. 3 people moving with him at the same controlled speed that emergency medicine perfected for exactly this kind of moment. Fast enough to matter, measured enough not to break things. Dr. Camille Okafor is waiting at Bay 4. She is 38 years old, has been attending physician in this ER for 6 years, and she received the radio call from Deshawn 14 minutes ago. She has spent those 14 minutes pulling everything she knows about Ivali into the front of her mind, because Ivali has a treatment window that is not forgiving about hesitation. She looks at the monitor. She looks at Darius. She looks at the monitor again. SBO2? She asks, moving alongside the gurney. 79, Aaliyah says. Up from 71 on scene, slow climb. How long on high flow? 13 minutes. Dr. Okafor's jaw tightens by exactly 1 degree. 13 minutes of pure oxygen and he has moved 8 percentage points. That is a lung that is fighting the treatment. That is a lung that is so inflamed, so compromised, that even when you hand it the one resource it is desperate for, it cannot process it efficiently enough to keep up with what the body needs. She leans over Darius, his eyes are open. Barely. Darius, I'm Dr. Okafor. You're at Riverside General. I need you to stay awake for me. Can you do that? His chin moves. It might be a nod. Good. I need to help your lungs breathe. I'm going to give you medicine first. Then we're going to talk about next steps. She straightens up and turns to her team with the quiet, total authority of someone who does not raise her voice because she has never needed to. Methylprednisolone, 1 gram IV push. Get respiratory at the bedside now. I want a chest x-ray and a CT angiogram, and I want them fast. Methylprednisolone. The name sounds clinical and distant, but what it does inside Darius's body is not distant at all. It is a corticosteroid, essentially a direct chemical signal that tells the immune system to stand down, to stop attacking, to let the tissue surrounding the airways step back from the swollen, inflamed state it has been maintaining for 47 days. It will not reverse the damage already done, but it can stop the damage from compounding in the next 2 hours, which is the only window that matters right now. The nurse pushes it through the IV line. Darius's body does not respond immediately. It does not feel like relief. Steroids do not work in seconds. They work in minutes, then hours, which means the next 20 minutes are still entirely in question. His oxygen saturation at 2:41 p.m., 81. His heart rate, 141, down from 148. A small number moving in the right direction, which is the most precise definition of hope available in an emergency room. The chest x-ray comes back first. Dr. Okafor pins it to the light board and the room gets quiet in the specific way rooms get quiet when something confirms what everyone already suspected and hoped was wrong. Both lung fields. White opacity spreading through the lower lobes like weather moving across a map. The alveoli are flooded, not with water, but with the inflammatory fluid the immune system has been pouring into the tissue around the chemical residue for over a month. Bilateral infiltrates, she says. Not to anyone in particular. To the room. To the record. She turns back to Darius. His respiratory effort is decreasing, the nurse says. He's tiring. This is the detail Dr. Okafor has been watching for and dreading simultaneously. A body fighting this hard to breathe eventually runs out of the muscle energy required to keep fighting. The diaphragm and the intercostal muscles, the muscles that physically expand the chest cavity with each breath, are working at a level of exertion they were not built to sustain indefinitely. When they fatigue, the breath gets shallower. When the breath gets shallower, the oxygen drops. When the oxygen drops, the brain loses the signal strength to keep the muscles going. The loop runs in one direction. Prep for intubation, Dr. Okafor says. She moves back to Darius's side. His eyes are open. Glassy, but open. She leans close. Darius, I need to put a breathing tube in to help your lungs. I need to do it now. I'm going to give you medicine to help you sleep through it. When you wake up, you're going to be breathing easier. She pauses. 1 beat. Your mom is on her way. Something moves across his face. Not relief exactly. Something quieter than that. Something that a 17-year-old boy produces when he is exhausted and scared and hears that the one person he trusts most is coming, and he does not have the oxygen to spare for tears, but his body tries anyway. "I've got you," Dr. Okafor says. She straightens up. "Ketamine, then RSI sequence. Let's go." Had Zaria Coleman walked into that bathroom 4 minutes later, 4 minutes, the damage to Darius's brain from oxygen deprivation would have been irreversible before the paramedics ever arrived. Dr. Okafor will say this to Renee Washington in the family consultation room at 4:15 p.m., and Renee will have to sit down when she hears it. 4 minutes. The thickness of a decision Zaria almost did not make. Renee Washington arrives at Riverside General at 3:02 p.m. She is still wearing her work lanyard. She left her office on the 3rd floor of the county building with her coat half on, keys already in her hand, phone still connected to the call from the school nurse that had said the words, "your son," and "ambulance," in the same sentence, and everything after that had been logistics her body handled without her full participation. She finds the ER waiting area, gives Darius's name to the front desk, and then stands in the middle of the room with nowhere to put herself. Zaria is already there. She is sitting in a plastic chair against the far wall, backpack on the floor between her feet, hands folded in her lap. When Renee comes through the door, Zaria stands up so fast the chair scrapes the tile. She opens her mouth and for a second nothing comes out, because there is no clean way to begin the sentence that starts with, "I was the one who found him." "Are you the girl who called?" Renee asks. Zaria nods. Renee Washington crosses the room and puts both arms a girl she has never met, and holds on with the kind of grip that communicates everything words are currently too slow to carry. "Thank you," she says. Once. Into Zaria's shoulder. Zaria's hands come up, and she holds on back, and neither one of them says anything else for a long moment, because nothing else is the right size for what just happened. Dr. Okafor finds them at 4:15 p.m. She sits across from Renee in the small consultation room off the main corridor, the room with the box of tissues on the table that both of them are pointedly not looking at. And she explains, in plain language, what happened to Darius's lungs, what a valley is, what they did in the last 90 minutes, and where things stand. Darius is intubated. He is sedated. He is breathing with the machine doing the mechanical work while his lungs begin, slowly, the process of stepping back from the inflammatory state they have been in for nearly 2 months. The methylprednisolone is in his system. His oxygen saturation as of 20 minutes ago is 91. Not 71. Not 79, 91. It is not a celebration number, it is a fighting chance number. There is a difference. "Will he be okay?" Renee asks. Dr. Okafor does not rush to answer. She does not give the easy version. "He is stable right now, and that is real. He is going to need to stay on the ventilator for at least 48 hours while the steroids work and we monitor his lung response. The infiltrates are significant, both lungs." She pauses. "There will be some permanent reduction in his lung capacity. We will not know how much until he is extubated and we can run full pulmonary function tests. But I want to be honest with you. The lungs he has on the other side of this will not be identical to the lungs he had before he started vaping." The room is very quiet. Renee Washington looks at her hands. She is a woman who has spent 17 years making sure this boy had everything he needed. The right school, the right doctors, the right food on the table. She cannot locate in any file in her memory the moment this became something she was supposed to prevent. "He had football tryouts Friday," she says. Dr. Okafor looks at her steadily. "I know," she says. "I read his intake form." Renee nods once, looks at the wall. Nods again, slower, the way a person nods when they are accepting something they cannot renegotiate. Down the hall in Bay 4, Darius Washington is asleep in the chemical way, the deep, floored stillness of sedation, chest rising and falling to the rhythm of a machine doing his breathing for him. His hands are relaxed on the bed. His heart rate on the monitor is 84. His oxygen saturation holds at 91, then ticks to 92, then holds again. The vape device is in a sealed evidence bag at the nurse's station, logged under his intake file. It still smells like mango. On the floor of his locker, 40 feet down the hall from the bathroom where this started, his cleats are still packed exactly where he left them Monday morning. Friday is tomorrow. 6 days later, Darius Washington opens his eyes in a room that smells like recycled air and antiseptic, and the first clear thought he has is that his throat hurts. The second thought is that he is alive, which his body seems to know before his brain fully catches up to it. The tube is out. It came out yesterday, during a slow, uncomfortable process that Dr. Okafor explained to him in advance, and that was still nothing like the explanation. His voice is rough and low, scraped down to something that sounds older than 17. His first real breath on his own, without the machine, without the mask, without any assist, comes in about 3/4 of the way and stops. His lungs will not fully expand. They never will again. Not all the way, not like before. He does not know this yet, but his body already does. Zaria comes on day 4. She brings a bag of Takis and a cup of mango lemonade from the place across from the school, and she stands in the doorway of his room for a moment before she comes in because she is not sure what version of him she is going to find. The version she finds is sitting up, phone in hand, watching film on Marcus's football tryout from a video Marcus sent him the day before. He watches Marcus run the 40-yard drill twice before he puts the phone face down on the blanket. He does not say anything about football. Not a single word. Zaria sets the Takis on his bedside table. She pulls the chair close and sits down and says, "You scared the mess out of me." "I know," Darius says. His voice is barely there. "I kept hearing that sound," she says. "Even at home, at night, I kept hearing it." He looks at her. Really looks, the way people look when they have been close enough to something that they have to reassemble their understanding of what the world costs. "I didn't know," he says. She doesn't say "I told you." She doesn't say "I tried to warn you." She doesn't say anything that positions herself in the story at his expense. She just sits there, in that chair, in that room that smells like recycled air, and she stays. That silence is heavier and more honest than any sentence either of them could construct. Dr. Okafor delivers the pulmonary function results on day 6. She sits at the edge of the bed, and she speaks plainly, because Renee asked her to speak plainly when Darius was in the room, and because Darius specifically asked not to be handled. The results show a 23% reduction in forced vital capacity, the total volume of air Darius can move in and out of his lungs. Put plainly, his lungs, at full effort, now hold and process roughly 3/4 of what they held 7 months ago. For a 17-year-old with a Division II scholarship on the horizon, for a running back whose entire game is built on explosive aerobic output, this number lands the way a sentence lands. Final, structural, already written. He will not be the same kind of athlete he was. He might still play, he might still compete at some level. But the version of Darius that was going to run that 40-yard drill and make Coach Pittman look up from his clipboard, that version needed lungs that no longer exist. Renee Washington reads the report twice. She does not cry in the room. She waits until she's in the parking garage, 3rd level, northeast corner, before she sits in the driver's seat of her car and lets the weight of it come out. Darius reads the number himself, 23%. He reads it 3 times with the same expression. Not blank, not collapsed, but the specific face of someone doing the calculation and getting a result they cannot argue with. He sets the paper down. He looks at the ceiling for a long time. Then he picks his phone back up and opens his messages. And he finds the thread with Marcus and he types 3 words and he sends them before he changes his mind. The 3 words are, "I need help." Not help with football. Not help with anything specific. Just those 3 words said to the one person he trusted most, because something in him understands that the version of himself that handled everything alone and vaped in a school bathroom every afternoon is not the version he can afford to keep being. Marcus responds in 40 seconds. He sends back 5 words. "I got you. Tell me." 3 weeks after Darius Washington was found on the floor of a school bathroom at 2:17 p.m. on a Thursday, he walks back through the front doors of Westfield High. He does not walk fast. His lung capacity will not allow fast in the way fast used to feel. He breathes at a pace that is deliberate now, considered, the way you breathe when you understand the machinery involved, and you no longer take the function for granted. Marcus is waiting at the front entrance. No speech, no dramatic moment. He just falls into step beside Darius, and they walk down the main hallway, the same way they have walked it since 8th grade. Except this time, neither of them is rushing, and neither of them needs to be. Zaria finds them at the locker bay. She falls in on the other side. 3 people. 1 hallway. The same school that housed a bathroom where a 17-year-old nearly died from something that was sold to him as flavored air. Darius stops at his locker. Turns the combination, opens it. His cleats are still at the bottom, exactly where he packed them on Monday of the week that changed everything. He looks at them for a moment. Then he reaches in, picks them up, and puts them in his bag. He has not given up on football. He has not given up on anything. But the cleats are going home. They are not going to a tryout. They are going somewhere he can look at them and remember. On the days when memory is the only thing that holds the decision in place, exactly what those 11 months cost him. Here is what the doctors know, and what they will tell you plainly if you ask them. D-Valley does not require years of vaping to develop. Cases have been documented in people who vaped for as few as 5 weeks. It does not target a specific type of person or a specific brand of device. It does not send a warning that reads clearly as a warning. It sends a cough, a morning tightness, a dizziness after standing up too fast. Things that sound when you say them out loud exactly like nothing. The chemicals inside vape devices, propylene glycol, diacetyl, vitamin E acetate, and dozens of other compounds that vary by brand and flavor, were tested for safety in food. In food, they pass through the digestive system. In a lung, they coat tissue, they accumulate, they inflame, and when the immune response the body sends to address them fires into overdrive, the damage it does trying to fix the problem can be worse than the problem itself. Darius Washington knows this now. He did not know it when it would have changed the first decision. He knows it now, which is the only time he has left to work with. Outside Dr. Okafor's office, the week before discharge, he had asked her one question. Why didn't anyone tell us this? She had looked at him for a long moment. Not with pity. With the kind of regard a doctor gives a patient who has earned a real answer. Some people did, she said. The question is what it takes for that information to land where it needs to land. He had thought about that every single day since. This story is that information landing. Darius does not need your sympathy. He would not ask for it. What happened to him is not a tragedy that requires your sorrow. It is a case study that requires your attention. A 23% reduction in lung capacity, permanent, at age 17, from a device that was marketed to him as harmless, sold in flavors that were designed to make it feel safe and accessible enough that he used it daily in a school bathroom without anyone stopping him until the day his body stopped him first. If you are in high school and you vape, your lungs are keeping a record. You are not reading it yet. But it is being written. If someone you know vapes and has a cough they keep explaining away, this story is not a coincidence that found you. It found you for a reason. Zaria Coleman did not know, when she walked into that bathroom, that she was about to save a life. She was going to wash her hands. That was the whole plan. 30 seconds between 4th period and the water fountain. The thing that saved Darius Washington's life was not a dramatic decision made under pressure. It was a girl who walked in at the right moment and did not look away. The last time Darius is seen in this story, he is in the parking lot after school, sitting on the hood of Marcus's car in the late afternoon light, talking. Not about football, not about what he lost, about what comes next. His breath comes in steady, measured, 3/4 full. He works with what he has. That is the whole story. That is also, depending on what you do with it, the beginning of a different one. If this story made you stop and think, if it made you look at something in your own life differently, or think of someone you know, share it. Put it in front of the person who needs to see it. You do not have to say anything when you send it. The story does its own work. Subscribe to this channel and turn on your notifications right now. Every week, we bring you real stories. Stories about real bodies, real decisions, and real consequences that the health classes do not teach, and the commercials will never show you. Stories that do not talk down to you. Stories that trust you to handle the truth. Darius handled it. So can you. Drop a comment below and tell us, what in this story hit you the hardest? What did you not know before you watched this that you know now? Your comment might be the reason someone else clicks play. The next story is already waiting, and it does not start quietly.